I have the sincere honor today of introducing our featured speaker, Jermaine Griggs, who I now always say is going to be one day President of the United States. Fantastic, you will much enjoy it. Let me tell you a little bit about Jermaine. He is a minister, a musician, a mentor, and an entrepreneur. And you've heard the saying, jack of all trades, master of none. Jermaine is a master of all trades, and probably more than we know. He earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in the School of Social Ecology in Criminology, Law, and Society in 2005. Yay! We got to get our spirit going. He's a California homeboy, born and raised in Long Beach. Any Long Beach? California, with very humble beginnings. He always envisioned making an impact on the world, and that's what social ecology is about, science driving solutions to improve communities and strengthen and better people's lives. His journey of entrepreneurship began at age 16 when he started Hear and Play Music, an instrumental music company specializing in teaching piano by ear. With only $70 and a vision, he purchased the website hearandplay.com and launched the company that would not only change his life, but hundreds of thousands of musicians around the world through his software, books, DVDs, and online training programs. It was at UCI in the Mesa Court dorms. Mesa Court? I took your line. That the company would take off and start to thrive and flourish. 17 years later, his passion for music and helping others have influenced more than 2 million aspiring musicians who download his free online lessons every year, and over 300,000 loyal students who receive his regular newsletters and correspondence. His success in business has allowed him to give back to his community, family, friends, charities, and important causes such as Operation Jumpstart in Long Beach, the Boys and Girls Club, the Haitian Project, and the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. As if that were not enough, he's been featured on MSNBC's Top 10 Superstars Under 30, Dun & Bradstreet's Top Young Entrepreneurs, and Aetna's African American Innovators. If you're a fan of HGTV, I am, you may have seen him on House Hunters. He's met and been photographed with President Obama twice, has been invited to the White House, and serves on the board of the UCI Alumni Association and the Center for Applied Innovation. He lives here in Orange County, married to his high school sweetheart with 3 children. I had the opportunity to meet him and actually interview him this past year at the UCI Alumni Association event, in which he spoke to our students and our alumni, giving a true message of inspiration, encouragement, and wisdom. And we were so thrilled that he agreed to continue with that message and to come here today as our featured speaker. So please join me, and this is the Spirit crowd, in a large welcome for our commencement speaker, Jermaine Griggs.
Wow. Wow. That introduction is longer than my speech. Did I write that? Seems so good. Well, class of 2017, where are you? Hey, I've got a confession. This is my second time up here. I did the graduation at 9 a.m. And so far, you guys are a rowdy crowd. Give yourselves another hand. We're going to win that award. You know, I'm deeply honored and privileged to have this opportunity to address you graduates. And I got to be honest, when I got the invitation, I mean, this is a serious thing. This is a professional thing. And, you know, I remember my reaction, so dignified and composed. I said, who, me? Y'all want me? For reals, y'all? Oh, okay. You know? And then I clicked over, right? And I called my grandma, who is my greatest supporter, my mom and my grandma. But my grandma, she gets real excited, right? And she said, that's my grandson, Hercules. She's here today. You probably see her, Hercules, right? And you guys are kind of young, so you probably don't even know where that reference comes from, but your parents do. Millennials, there's this guy named Eddie Murphy. He's a nutty professor, before you guys are born, and he plays all the characters. But one of the characters is this grandma, and she's around the dinner table, and he's got goals, right? Hashtag goals, and he's like, Hercules, and that's my grandma. Everybody's got a grandma like that, and if you don't, probably somebody who was in your life pushing you, and that's evidenced by the fact that you are here today. And so let's give your parents and your family and your village, let's give them a round of applause. And, it was like 12 years ago that I sat in your exact seats. And so I'm a millennial, I think. I think they say 1982. So I barely made it in. I'm a millennial. And we have more in common than that. A little birdie outside flew by and told me that a whopping 53% of you are first-generation graduates today. That is a big deal. 53%. I don't know if you guys know how big of a deal that is. There are other universities out there that brag on 20%, 18%. 53%, I learned from the vice provost, is a big deal. You guys are doing something that is unprecedented in this time in history. And Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said, do not go where the path may lead, but go where there is no path and leave a trail. And that quote came to mind when I thought about you all, because no doubt you have done exactly that. And I'm not naive. I know it wasn't easy all the time. Amen? I mean, there were some trying times and tribulations, and some of us, we get to the point where we want to give up. But because you are here today, you endured, you persevered, and you started what you started, and you finished ultimately what you started. And you are leaving a trail because of that. This company, New York Times, this newspaper rated UCI not number 15, not 12, not 3 or 2, but number 1 in their college access index. Do you know what that means? That means that your university is number 1 at doing the most for you all as it pertains to the American dream. And that's huge, the American dream. And if you heard my introduction, I know something about that American dream. And I know something about being a first. Because you see, for me, being a first wasn't just a matter of attending and graduating from this great university. Being a first for me is a little bit more serious than that. My mom, who's very smart, very capable, if she would have decided to pursue college instead of having me at the tender age of 17 years old, she would have been the first. What does that make me? You do the math, right? But instead, she sacrificed, much like your parents and family have sacrificed. It takes a village. And she allowed me to tread this path that Ralph Waldo Emerson talks about and ultimately leave a trail. And so I want to thank my mom today for allowing me to be the first. Hercules. I'm saying Hercules. And this great university, UCI, has a very special place in my heart because it was right here in Mesa Court in Otero. Any Oteros in the house? I see you. I see you. But it was right there in Otero, in Mesa Court, that I had the opportunity to balance schoolwork and this new business idea that I had started in my senior year of high school, right? And when I think about that senior year of high school, parents can really relate to this, being 17 years old and living in this tiny one-bedroom apartment at the time with my grandma, and connecting to the internet on a 28.8K modem. You guys don't even know what that is. You're laughing, but you don't know the struggle. The struggle is real. 28.8 means that you dialed up on your phone, and if my grandma picked up the phone to call like Uncle Frank, it would kick you off. And we had AOL, that stands for America Online. And this guy, when you logged on, he would say, "You've got mail." Every time, like, shut up. I know what I got, all right? But those were the days. And then, Grandma would watch the news, and she said she found out the internet was handing out viruses. And she was like, man, you better not get on that internet. It's making people sick. I said, no, Grandma, the computer gets sick. I don't get sick. Computer, I. She was like, okay. Well, Hercules. You guys still don't get it. You got to go to Netflix and go Nutty Professor. 1995, I think. Right? But having this idea to teach people how to play the piano and to do it without sheet music, by ear, much like I had learned how to do at 10 years old. I taught myself how to do that. Playing in the church, especially my kind of church, will teach you how to do it. And I learned how to do that, but that wasn't my first idea, graduates. Anybody heard of Avon products? Avon, the pink ribbon, the Avon lady? Well, I sold Avon when I was 12 years old. No, I was the youngest Avon lady in all of California. And I sold it in the hood too, door to door. So I was the most dangerous Avon lady. I'm telling you. But I did a lot of those things. I was just that kid. I had what this famous author talks about, a burning desire that as I look into your eyes, I see a burning desire, a burning fire to be different. And you are. The stats prove it. You are different. And I had that burning desire to be better. To work hard to achieve and to ask this silly question that I want to pose to you. And that silly question is this: what if? What if? That was my question. And I want to encourage you, graduates, to keep asking that question in your life. What if? Because the sad reality is so many people have made up in their minds what is possible for them to achieve. Right? And they stop using their imaginations, right? When we get your age and beyond, we stop using that thing that took us to outer space when we were just a little kid or took us to the bottom of the ocean. We stop using that imagination and we stop what-ifing. And my message to you is never stop what-ifing, because if I've learned anything in life, graduates, I've learned that if you ask life better questions, you get better answers, right? But if you go into life with like predetermined beliefs, predetermined answers, this is right, this is what I'm going to do, this is how it's supposed to happen, then you may just only come away with questions. But if you go in with questions, open-mindedness, curiosity, you just might come out with answers and clarity. Right? In life, I believe, and there's this thing I talk about on Facebook every day. I'm on Facebook. I do a live message. If you like this, check me out every day at 3 p.m., okay? Just type in Jermaine Griggs every day. And I talk about this concept of periods versus question marks. And so many of us, we put periods in our own lives where we should put question marks. Right? We count ourselves out before we count ourselves in. Right? We've already made up our minds what we are capable of, even before we've tried. Fellas in the gym, everybody in the gym, you look at a weight and you say, I can't do that, but you haven't even tried. That's period thinking. We need more questions. Periods say, I already know, or I already think that's the way it's going to be. Questions say, I don't already know. Questions say, I'm willing to ask. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to grow. And so for me, right, despite living in the projects and in a rough neighborhood and coming from such humble beginnings, and watching my mom work 2 jobs to make ends meet, I'm so grateful that I had that loving and supportive environment to foster that what if. And I believe you all had that too. And what if was my question, right? Despite what I saw, see, because when your circumstances around you are one thing, it stops you from thinking what if. It stops you from thinking your imagination. So if I would have just looked and leaned on what I saw as a 12-year-old, well, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. But I had that question burning in the back of my head. So, that was my question. And so I would tell you, graduates, start with your own questions and trust that the answers will come. And for me, the answers did come right here in Mesa Court, my freshman year towards the end, March 2nd, 2002, to be exact. I started learning more about marketing and just juggling everything. And I started getting orders. And you think I was the youngest Avon lady in California when I was 12. Well, imagine this grandma cart full of boxes because I'm shipping my first book to people all over the world, and first hundreds of books out of the dorm. Then thousands of books out of the dorm. Then we needed a warehouse, and now we're shipping tens, hundreds of thousands of courses and downloads online. All started with a what if. A what if. right? Here and Play's gone on to sell millions of dollars in courses. It's, as the dean said, put me face to face with President Obama, and I'm that same kid. I'm just that same kid that has just ridden, if that's a word, this journey all the way to where I am today. And I'm here to tell you that if I can do it, each and every one of you can do it as well. And my biggest achievement is not the money or, going on shows and getting awards. In fact, I was on a list with Mark Zuckerberg way back. Now our net worths differ by about 65 billion, 0.999, repeated 9. But back then, they were a little closer. And but my biggest achievement is helping in retiring my grandma, who lives in the first home that I bought, as the business started succeeding. And that makes me feel good, right? Hercules. And no doubt, graduates, many of you have asked what if too. I am not alone, right? You asked what if 4, 5, 6 years ago. And I'm here to tell you, class of 2017, that the answer to your questions is today. You are receiving an answer because you are getting your degrees and all your hard work is paying off today. Let's give them a round of applause. Today is your answer. Today is your parents' answers. So they are like, whoo, I didn't know about that one. Parents, you've got some answers today. And these aren't your last answers. This is the beginning of the rest of your life, the best of your life, and more answers will come. All right? They say where you are today is a result of what you've been doing the last 5 years. Doesn't that seem to especially ring true today? The last 5 years. Some of you 6, some of you 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not judging you. I don't know who you are. But you finished. You finished. But there's another part of that quote. And it translates to this. Where you'll be in 5 years from now is a result of what you start doing today. Today, the questions you start asking today. So if I don't say anything, remember this. Start with questions. Start with why. Start with purpose. Start with questions. And leave the statements and the periods for the end. Because a period says, I'm done, period. Questions pose, am I done? Am I? All right? A period says, I need to do this, I need to do this, that, and everyone's else doing that and this, and we put periods, right? Question says, where's my heart leading me? Right? Why do I need to do this or do that? A period says, this is the path I'm required to take, the path people want me to take, period, right? Question says, what am I really here for? What is my purpose? What is my calling? Period says, no, that's not possible, period. That little thing in your ear. A question Socratically replies, what if? What if? What if I can change the world in a very small way? What if I can change the world in a very big way? What if I could do what I love? What if I could follow my heart and my dreams and my passions without worrying about what other people think? And I'm here to ask you, graduates, what if? Right? And some of you are tempted to think the negative part of what if. Like, what if I fail, Jermaine? What if I don't make it? What if I don't succeed? And I'm going to tell you this. Coming from a guy who got a 1.0 earlier in his academic career, a teacher who told me I would never graduate, but managed to turn it around, graduate in 4 years, and build a multi-million-dollar company while in school, I'm here to tell you that failure is not the end of the road, just a bend in the road. But graduates, you've got to make the turn. That's clappable. That is tweetable. You can have failures, but it's important. What you have to realize is you are not a failure. What you do is not who you are. So that's an identity thing. You can have failures. They say, the average business fails, 9 out of 10 of them, will fail, all right? But that's not your identity, all right? They say life is 10% what you make it, 90% how you take it. So I know I only have a couple minutes, but do I have enough time to tell this one last story? Faculty, please, because my clock is like beeping. Do y'all want to hear this one last story? I got something that's going to stick with you. I promise. So in closing, there's this story I like to tell about a man who worked as a carpenter. And he worked for some 30, 40 years, building houses. But he was getting old, so he went to his boss to tell him that he wanted to retire. His boss thanked him for his many years of service and asked him if he would do him one last favor before he left the company. The boss asked the carpenter if he would build one last house. Why did I go 1, 2, 3? One last house. And the carpenter agreed. So the carpenter began to work on this final home, but his heart just wasn't there. His heart, he had already put his period. It wasn't there. He took shortcuts. He used inferior products. He didn't hammer every nail. And he simply put in a half-hearted effort. And in the end, the house was built, no doubt, but it fell way short of his usual standards. Just a disappointing way to end his career. So here came the boss, right? And after walking through the house and inspecting it and all that, he came to the carpenter and he gave him the keys to the house. And he said, "This is your house. This is my gift to you." And of course, the carpenter, now shocked and embarrassed, for had he known that he was building his own house all along, he would have made sure that everything was perfect. He would have demanded excellence from himself. He wouldn't have cut corners. He wouldn't have taken shortcuts. He wouldn't have used inferior products. He would have done his best. But he didn't know he was building his own house. He thought he was building someone else's house. So in my closing message, just as he was building the house he had to live in, graduates, you are building the house that you have to live in. This is not mom's house. This is not dad's house. This is not society's expectations and society's house. This is your house. And in the end, you have to live in it. So you've already shown what you can do, class of 2017. And today, you guys have laid a great foundation. And many of the graduate students, you guys have built multiple rooms of your house. But there is yet more building to do. And so I want to encourage you, always do your best, graduates. Always use the finest materials. Always require excellence in all that you do. Never, ever stop building. Keep your health up so that you can always give your full effort. A lot of people, in their young years, they spend their health to acquire wealth, but in their older years, they have to use their wealth to acquire back their health. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right? And be respectful of the community in which you build. And ultimately follow your heart and build what it says to build. And never stop asking, what if? Because there are 3 types of people in this world, and only 3. Those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that are wondering what just happened. Y'all not wanderers. I'm not looking at wanderers here. I don't see wanderers. But a lot of us fall into the trap of watching. Beyonce and Kardashian, watching's not enough. Class of 2017, I need you to go out there and make things happen. Thank you. You've been a great crowd. Thank you.